Hello and welcome to this class. Happy day. Okay, so today's practice, we're going to focus on actually clearing out the upper body. So what does that exactly mean? Well, on an energetic level, we can clear out any heaviness of grief or sorrow or sadness or just a melancholy feeling. That might be something that's resonating with you, maybe not. We're also going to clear out on a physical level any tension that you're holding, whether it's in the chest, the shoulders, or maybe in the head. And then also we're just going to strengthen the immune system, the upper body's part of the immune system, so that if there is anything that's either brewing or has been brewing in the past, we can clear that out too. We're going to do a combination of some acupressure stimulation to just get the energy moving and to get things clearing through. And then we're going to get into our yin practice. Okay. What you'll need for your practice today is just a couple of blocks. If you want to have anything else, you're more than welcome to bring along blankets or pillows or towels, especially for Shavasana at the end. If you tend to get a little bit cold, feel free to have a blanket with you. Okay. All right. So we're going to start with our acupressure practice, and I recommend sitting up on something. So I'm sitting on a bolster, but you can sit on a block, or you can sit up rolled up towels or blankets, just anything where you feel like you can keep your spine nice and straight. We're going to work on two different acupressure points. One of them is in the middle of the body. The other one is at the ends of the body, around the top of the collarbones. And these 2 points help to just move the energy if there's any stagnant energy below, or if like there's a lingering of mucus that's hanging around in the lungs or the chest, or just if the chest is feeling really heavy. We're going to clear that out with this point, and then we're going to go to the lung point, which is a really great point to, again, boost the immunity of the lungs, clear out anything that might be lingering, as well as just if there is any residual sort of emotional component hanging around there, we can clear that out and just bring a deeper breath into our body. Okay, so before we start with the acupressure, I want to actually get you to stimulate your hands. And the reason why is because there's tons of little acupressure points for the heart, lungs, small and large intestine that are paired together that start in your fingers. So you're just going to bring your fingers together, your hands together, and just start to rub vigorously. You might even start to feel like some heat brewing, whether that's between your hands, in your arms. You might even feel it moving up through your arms, because you, in essence, are actually stimulating all of the first pressure points for the heart, lungs, small and large intestine just by doing this. So this is a great little exercise to do if you're ever feeling cold in your upper body and you want to broaden up the heat in there. Okay, now just let the hands come together. Close your eyes for a moment and feel the warmth and the tingling sensation between your hands. Imagine like there's a ball of bright white energy light just radiating between your hands, and you're just holding on to that light. And then it starts to dwindle a little bit, and that's okay. Just know that the energy is starting to circulate through your upper body. And take a deep breath in and take a long breath out. And then if you like to keep your eyes closed, you can. You're going to bring your fingers over towards your armpits. And from there, trace a line until you get to the center of your chest. Just below your collarbones, you'll land right on the breastbone. And you can kind of feel around a little bit with your fingers so that you know you're landing on the bone itself. And you want to be gentle with pressing here. So I'm using all of my fingers, so the 4 fingers on the right and the left, but you can also just place a hand over top of the breastbone as well. That works just as well. Okay. As you sit up tall, let your shoulders relax. Spine is lengthened. It's a gentle little pressure applied here. Starting to breathe deeply in and out through your nose. And while you're not looking to force your breath, I encourage you to start to lengthen and deepen it in a way that actually feels good in your body. Meaning it's a really smooth, tranquil breath. As you stimulate the C of tranquility. This is CV17. I call this point the chill point. But it actually is really good for just any upper body misalignment. Let your face relax, jaw softens. Breath is slow, but breath is deep. And now whether you have your fingers pressing against the breastbone or whether you just have your hand over top of it, start to make some little circles over top of the breastbone. Doesn't matter which direction you're going in. I'm just going to stimulate things in a slightly different way. And then go the opposite direction. And then pause and just place your right hand now over top of the breastbone and then place the left hand over top of the right and apply a gentle pressure. And imagine that ball of bright white light energy that was between your hands before. Imagine that now underneath your right palm. And take 2 deep breaths. And then let your eyes softly open, release your hands, and whichever leg you had in front, just switch out, just to make your hips a little happy here. And then we're going to go into lung 1 point, which is actually a point that's called letting go. So obviously the theme around that is to let go of anything that you're holding in the upper body. So to find this particular point, you're going to go to the very edge of your collarbones. And then just below the collarbone, you're going to feel like a little hollow, a little bit of an indentation. And I like to use all 4 fingers on each side because then I know I'm actually landing in that area on the point. And your elbows just stay relaxed, spine is long. You can close your eyes again. And here you want to apply a little bit more pressure than you were when you were working on CV17. And the aim is to lengthen and deepen the breath now. Maybe even starting to draw it up in towards your fingertips, feeling your collarbones rise. This is a great point to get rid of any stagnant energy that is sitting in your lungs. If you're someone who breathes very shallow most of your day, stimulating this point is great to open up the chest cavity. It's a major point for releasing any emotional imbalance of grief or sorrow or melancholy. And it just allows you to start to breathe with a little bit more ease and a little less effort. Continue to let your shoulders relax away from your ears. Start to broaden out your breath so that you feel the sides of your rib cage beginning to lengthen and expand outwards. So that any heaviness you might be holding on to, you're letting go with your breath and by applying this gentle pressure. We'll take 3 more deep breaths. And after you finish the 3rd exhale, instead of releasing your hands right away, just start to release the pressure of your fingers against the point and then just cup your hands over top of the point. And take another deep breath in and out through your nose. And then keeping your eyes closed, relax your hands onto the lap for a moment. And just notice how you feel. Notice your breath. Maybe even start to notice the little moments of peace and tranquility in your mind. And then let your eyes open, and whatever you're sitting on, just come up off of your seat. Take your legs out in front for a moment and just give the knees a little bit of a shake here from side to side, just doing some windshield wiper movement, just to release any residual tension. Since we're focusing on upper body today, the lower body is just not really getting a whole lot of attention here. Okay, all right. Now for our next pose, you can either sit cross-legged on a block, or if your knees permit, you can sit seiza, whether it's on 1 block or 2 blocks between your heels. And then we'll move into twisted branches. This is going to open up now more the back of the upper body, which is another area that gets really stagnant when this is stuck or congested or heavy. Okay. So we'll take the arms out and we're going to wrap the right arm underneath the left. Now, option 1, just hold on to your shoulder heads like you were giving yourself a really big hug. You could even wrap your fingers around if that's available. If you have a little bit more range of motion, you can start to loosely bind the arms together in kind of a twisted branches position. Okay. Now, if you like, you can start to sway a little bit, or you can remain still, whichever feels better in your body. But your elbows are drawn down towards your chest. If you're in a bind, you want to have a loose bind between your hands. And if you're hugging yourself, just think of this as a gentle hug. You want to be able to still draw your breath up into your chest. Separate the upper molars from the lower molars inside your mouth. Just imagine yourself letting go of anything that you don't need anymore. Whether that's a pocket of tension somewhere in your body. Maybe it's a thought. Maybe it's a sensation. Let yourself tune into the sound of your breath. And let that breath sound that you hear between your ears, let it anchor you right into the present moment so that you're never drifting away, or if you are, it's not too far. If your fingers or your arms get a little numb, just feel free to shake the arms out for a moment or two and then join back in. We'll be here for about another 7 to 8 breaths. Last 2 deep breaths in and out through your nose. As you start to let your arms unwind, just let them dangle down by your sides. And imagine whatever you no longer needed and wanted in your body, just literally draining out through your arms, through your fingertips, right out of your body. And even if there's a little residual feeling of tingleness here, see if you can be okay with that as the blood starts to flow back down through your arms. And then just give the arms a little shake, just to make sure things are moving around. And now before we go to the other side, we're going to stay on the right side. So you're going to take your right arm once again out from your shoulder, turn your palm away, and then just bring your forearm onto your low back. And then if the right side of your neck feels okay with this, just let your left ear slightly tilt down towards the left. You could even move your chin around until you kind of find a spot where it feels like there's just enough sensation there that you can be okay resting in that stillness. Your right hand is completely relaxed. Left hand resting on your lap. Features of your face are soft. Spine is long. If at any point the sensation in the side of the neck is too strong, simply bring your head back up to center. Just focus on the sensation down the arm and through the fingertips. If you need a little bit more, you can always bring your right hand up a little higher towards the space between your shoulder blades. I'm going to take 4 more deep breaths. Keeping the breath smooth. Keeping the mind quiet. Just focusing on the sensation down through the arm. On your next inhale, start to let your arm release and let the palm of your hand land on your right thigh. Just pause here for a moment. Just let the arm settle back. And let the eyes open. If you need to take a slightly different position with your legs, you can certainly come into a cross-legged position or prop yourself up a little more on the blocks if you need to. When you're ready, you'll take the arms back out. We'll move back into twisted branches, this time left underneath the right, and either the big hug or maybe it's a loose little bind here. The elbows drawing down and in towards the rib cage, but just enough that you can still take your breath quite deep. You want to feel your chest rise and fall without it being forced. It's like you want to start to distance the space between your thoughts. You want the breath to flow just as effortlessly as it would be to start to quiet your mind. If you have a particular area in the upper body that it feels like it needs a little bit more support, a little more energy drawn towards it, just bring your mind's eye there. It could be a rib, it could be your throat, your ears, your eyes, jaw. It could be anything. If there's anywhere that feels a little out of alignment, just imagine yourself drawing the energy into that area. Let's grow the breath just a little more. See, can you take just a slightly longer breath in? Slightly longer breath out. Begin to feel yourself letting go. And then take one more breath at your own pace. And then when you're ready, just start to let the arms unfold. Let them dangle down by your hips again. You're draining out all of the stagnation, all of the stale energy, all the blocks, all the kinks, all the tension. Give the arms a little shake. And then just let your right hand rest on your lap and extend your left arm out from your shoulder. Turn your palm away and then slowly begin to drape your forearm somewhere along your low back. Keep your shoulder heads square to one another, still sitting up nice and tall. The left hand is relaxed back there as the palm is open, fingers separated. You can stay here, or you can now let the right ear pivot towards the right shoulder, or maybe it's the chin that pivots down towards that right elbow line. Whatever feels good in your body. Slow, deep breaths up through your left fingertips. Imagine the breath is flowing up through the arm, just like water flows down a stream. The more calm you feel, maybe the more you start to deepen that breath. And just know, if you can carry the breath up effortlessly right up into your collarbones, like actually feel them rising a little bit, you'll be stimulating those points again just by the breath alone. Last 5 deep breaths. Let yourself breathe a little more. And then on your next inhale, slowly start to release your hand. Let the hand land on the lap. Pause here for a moment. Just let your body settle. Breathe deeply. Notice the spaces in between the thoughts. Notice how calm they are. And slowly let your eyes open. You're going to come off your seat and just come to a tabletop position for a second. Let's release those knees. So you're just going to come in the table and then just one at a time, start to extend the legs long so that you're letting any tension from the knees go. This doesn't have to look like anything specific. You could stay on one leg extended for a moment or two if that feels good. You might even just kind of shake your hips a little bit. Or let's just do a few rounds of cat and cow. So when you're ready, just let your belly drop, chest lift, and then round the spine, drop the chin in. And then sort of move through these two shapes, breathing deeply. So as you come forward, you breathe in. And as you lift up, you breathe out. And then when you're ready, you're going to find your blocks and we're going to move into supported fish. So if you want to grab your blocks, block behind the head is going to go at our high level so we can support the neck. And then the block between the shoulder blades, your choice. If you want a little bit more support for your chest, you're going to run it horizontal across. If you want to open up a little deeper, you can run it vertical down the length of your mat, okay, on the low block, on the low setting. Just depends on what you feel like today. And as you rest down on here, just make any little adjustments you need to until this feels really spacious. You can keep your knees bent if this feels more supportive. If you're craving some lower body, you could bring the soles of your feet together and open your knees and find a butterfly shape. Or just lengthen the legs long and keep them wide. Let your body soften down. Elbows bent. Palms facing up. Just let yourself go here. Let yourself dissolve whatever tension you're holding on to. Let your eyes drift back to the sockets. Tongue towards the roof of the mouth. Breathe all the way up into your lungs. And when you can, you breathe a little deeper. And breathe a little longer. And you make more space between the thoughts. And if you start to get really, really comfortable with your breath, feel free at the very top of the inhale, right when you get to the collarbones, when you feel that lung 1 point stimulated just by the breath, hold it in for a moment before you exhale. This is our last minute here in this shape. Let yourself release a little more. Take a few more deep, deep breaths. On your next inhale, gently walk your feet onto the mat if they're not already there. Knees and feet come side by side. Arms start to come down towards your hips, palms face down. And slightly just shift your hips a little bit over to one direction as you start to roll very slowly off your blocks. Once you come off of them, just take them off to the side and start to shift your way back onto your back and into your final resting pose. Maybe you're going to support your body with the blocks under your thighs. Maybe you'll cover yourself up with a blanket or a towel over your eyes. Just anything that allows you to feel spacious here. Let your shoulder blades draw away from one another. Let your shoulders draw away from your ears. Let your body rest heavy. Surrender your breath. Take as much time as you need here in Shavasana. Allow yourself the time to make your practice complete in your body and in your mind. And may you feel this sense of peace that you feel in this moment throughout the rest of your day, maybe even into the rest of this week. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.